I wanted to show you where this has gone compared to yesterday. What you're looking at is our spaghetti plot. We call it that because it looks like strands of spaghetti being thrown on a map, but each one of those lines represents a different computer model. Yesterday, we were looking at a landfall happening later tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, right around Tampa, and that is still possible, but there is a greater cluster or consensus that is farther south between Sarasota and Fort Myers. And the worst storm surge, as we were just listening to Ryan Breton talk about, is really going to be south and east of where the storm ends up making landfall. There will be storm surge in many areas on the Florida coast, but that's where the most catastrophic storm surge will be. I did want to mention this before we show you that storm surge forecast, that some of our guidance is actually showing the storm pop back out into the Atlantic Ocean and maybe making another landfall. I mean, that's a far ways away from now, but just something that I wanted to mention to you. There's a lot of different variables with this storm. And here's a look at those storm surge warnings that are covering the Florida coastline. The worst right now between Sarasota and Bonita Springs, which is just south of Fort Myers. And this is a worst case scenario, 8 to 12 feet. But picture if someone's 5 feet standing on the beach, that's water that would completely cover your head. You're literally picking up the ocean and pushing it inland. So yes, this is definitely probably going to be the highest impact from this storm. Not to say that winds aren't a big deal. They are, but usually storm surge causes the most damage. So heading into tomorrow morning, winds are already starting to increase. You're seeing hurricane force gusts in Marco Island already in the morning. By afternoon, the storm will be near making landfall, I should say, around this time tomorrow. It may take a little bit later if the storm tries to stay over the ocean a bit longer and head farther north, but that's what the latest guidance is suggesting, right around this time tomorrow for a landfall, even though obviously conditions will continue to head downhill through the morning hours. You'll see those winds picking up in intensity. Around 8 o'clock tomorrow night, the storm will have already made landfall, and it will slowly start to weaken as it continues to move farther inland. And rain, obviously, also something that we have to deal with whenever we're talking about these storms, not just where the storm makes landfall, but also impacts felt farther inland as well. Right now, temperatures in the 60s to right around 70 degrees. Lows tonight in the 40s to around 50. So it's going to be comfortably cool out there again. And we have a beautiful fall week ahead for us here locally. High temperatures around 70 degrees as we head through the day tomorrow. And then we're in the 60s for much of the rest of the week. There is a chance we could get some leftover moisture from Ian, but even calling it Ian at that point would be a stretch. Wouldn't want you to picture anything like that. It's possible on Sunday. Otherwise, we're looking at a cool, mainly dry forecast for the week ahead, guys.